this interview. I'm Howard Lau with Hay2Brick. Today, I have a great fortune to introduce every one of you guys to Hilary. And Hilary Scott is an extensive have experience in sales and services in financial service industry, which lead her to a journey to investing in herself. This is what she say. By putting herself first in her health and in her wealth creations, that she choosing that what makes sense to her rather than letting others dictate and what she should do and what she shouldn't do. And also a little bit more information on Hilary is Hilary has started her healing journey beginning all the way back from 2006 when Hilary attended a distant healing workshop in Toronto, Canada. And this is what, where the whole little learning path opened up for Hilary and let her to tell a little bit of her story. So here we are, Hilary.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Howard. I think I'm better at holding this myself, but yeah, so my healing journey started basically from that workshop. It was my parents, when they were alive in 2006, had invited me as a guest to this Adam Dream Healer workshop. And I, at first, was very skeptical, but my mother had read the book, which was a prerequisite to going to the workshop. So she loaned me the book to read, and I tell you, it was all about visualization, like healing using visualization techniques that were explained so simply a child would understand it. So I loved that. There were pictures, there were techniques to eradicate illnesses using Pac-Man, using electricity, using white light. So, and the way he explained it was so simple that I got so interested and I couldn't wait to go to this workshop. In the meantime, I had a friend of mine whose very close friend's daughter was in ICU at Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto, dying basically of a brain disorder that the doctors didn't know what the origin was. They didn't know how to treat it. So she was basically dying in front of their eyes. She had lost about a third of her body weight. She's 8 years old. She couldn't even form a sentence because her brain, there was so much dysfunction and toxicity building. She didn't recognize anybody. So long story short, my friend brought her daughter to visit her in ICU every week. So she had asked me, if you're going to this workshop, this healing workshop, would you bring a picture of Julia with you and see what you can do? So I took this picture, and Julia was on the outside of the picture, and my daughter was in there because they were friends with her daughters and so on. So I brought it into the workshop, and Adam, the dream healer, there's about 500 or so of us in this room. And at one point there's a group healing. So I took instruction with him, guiding it, and put all of the healing energy that I had in through the right side of her head, which is where the inflammation was, where the dysfunction was. And I just poured out the toxins and funneled through white healing light through the whole 20 minutes. And only thinking positive thoughts, only using energy from the universe. I used it from the ground and just used my hands to put through the photo. And again, blocking everyone else in the picture out. So at the end of the next morning, I get a call from my friend who went to see Julia with her daughter in the hospital that evening. And this was 4:30 in the afternoon. She saw her at 6 p.m. at night. And she apparently, Julia not only recognized Megan, who's her friend, and the mom, but she also jumped out of bed for the first time and ran circles around the room. She was she was able to talk clearly. She was able to converse like she hadn't skipped a beat. And within a week, she was home with her parents, completely healed. So that was my experience that led me into further further discovery of these techniques.
That is
And Adam, I think, was
crazy.
my mentor. He's the mentor that I started with, Adam McLeod. Yeah.
That is, thank you for sharing this wonderful experience, because I hope people who are listening to this video and can understand that this is not sci-fi movie, this is not crazy things we're not talking about. This is real life healing. We talk about healing another person through positive energy, and oh my gosh, I wish that we have more healer like you in this world, because you know what, if we can heal like that, and like like this is like how much like after that, Hilary. So
Yes.
can you tell me a little bit more about that girl? Like she basically healed and never have a problem after.
As far as I know, I'm not really in contact with the mother, like my friend, the friend anymore. But like I haven't checked in to see how she's doing now, so I don't know the follow up. But that is a really good idea, and I think I will. I'll find out how she is. I know that for that next year, she was 100%, and
Picture and just
yeah.
no, it's just not just because I'm talking like an amateur, but it is, it's what is it like when you do that? Do you feel energy going through your body as well, going through your hand into, if for like for people who doesn't know this?
Okay, so it's a feeling like you get really, I'm quiet, I'm very still, but there's a lot of motioning going on. I have my eyes sort of closed, like in the room, the whole lighting was low because I'm trying to see the aura around her head, around her body in the picture. There's a white aura. Now, Adam, the dream healer, our mentor, the person who is hosting this event, can see colors, all the colored auras, because we have many colors around us. I was not able to see that. So I could see the break in the energy of the white aura around her.
Yeah,
And I
actually,
just,
color on the picture.
yes, yes, I know it sounds crazy, but it was like a tingling. It was like a tingling sensation, like you're kind of your energy is, it's like electricity, a little bit, you're twitching and things like that while you're doing it. Like I'm not really conscious of how I look when I'm doing it, but
But
I'm just by it.
the thing is,
Yeah.
it healed the person. So how can anyone not, seeing that and like, at least take a double look, and it's like, what the what just happened?
No, and the thing is, I mean, I was second guessing myself and everything else. And I thought, well, it's not even me at work. It was, I'm using the techniques and I'm using the energy and I'm following instruction. So it's basically, there's a whole lot of healers out there that are doing the same kind of work, which I've found since. So there's all kinds of different kinds of energetic healing going on. And I guess at large, most people don't know, they don't hear about it every day because, let's face it, like allopathic medicine and scientific communities are still largely, like skeptical. So, but there are a lot of instances where people are actually going to hospitals, which is now what I would like to do when the COVID is over, and go into hospitals and just volunteer to sit, in the pediatric ward with children whose parents, let's say, might need a break or need some time away to have a sandwich, and I can sit with them and just quietly, with their permission, obviously I'd have to get their permission, to assist if I can in helping to further help with that process.
I think I obviously I never wish anyone sick, any kid sick, but when you're in that situation, if you're out of hope, I cannot think of any other reason that not to try, like, that could possibly be having such a great impact. In fact, what you already did to that person's, like, come on, let's face it, like, if they have a way, then they won't, they won't be at that point, right? So they definitely is wonderful what you did to, to that girl. And that is basically kind of your background, right? Kind of your background, because I think one thing that you really talk about is the holistic approach of investing.
Yes. Yes. So yeah. So in my journeys, I raised two daughters. I was married, and I was working for, in financial services, getting a regular paycheck and everything. And I thought, you know what, this, I want something more for my life. And having my father was my mentor, my very first mentor, who always said, pay yourself first. Always find something, like be an owner. So find something that's going to pay you. So like own your house, find some investments that are going to give you some dividends, these kind of things. He was very much into stocks. I wasn't into stocks. I always wanted real estate. So that was kind of my passion, my trigger. Yes, Howard. Yes, the expert right here, right? And I embarked on an investing journey. So I call myself kind of like an investorpreneur, but in the baby
Great.
area. In the first,
I was
I'm not like
I
big
love
time.
that name.
It's just kind of a hobby for me, but I have picked up a few properties, pre-construction condos. Mainly, I've got a property in Detroit, and of course, I have some private exempt market funds that are just building as I grow, because it's not subject to the highs and lows of the stock market. And then I'm also partnering with you, IO, on your multifamily. So that's kind of where, like, the last, I want to say 10 years or 8 years, really, I have parked my attention in creating some passive income that way, in that regard. And I have 3 pre-construction condos, 2 in the city and 1 that's coming due actually in August of this year in Niagara Falls.
I know that is a really exciting one, because you have different, I think I remember from a previous conversation, it has meal plan, additional income, that it's all about the additional income. I want to even comment, you have a really great father. Your father, not everyone have that access, of course, but I was just going to comment that your father is a rock star, telling you that. I imagine, because I'm a father as well, right? I'm a father with a 5-year-old. So when you say that, I imagine Hilary is like really small, and your father is telling you
she's going to be on fire. She's going to be really like, with you as her father, she's going to be a rock star, definitely.
You know what? As father, especially father with daughter, I think I'm going to be, I'm a little bit, selfish to say that. I think we have a special relationship with our daughter, and the mother was jealous. I know that, but that it is, it's fantastic. So we talk about holistic, investing in. You talk about, first of all, is the health, right? Healing, instant healing, investing in yourself, and of course, you talk about also investing in real estate, investing in condos, and of course, I have the good fortune to be able to invest with you, and in apartments investing. So you are on every different, you're firing on every cylinders, and you're doing and in Detroit, you're doing in Ohio, you're doing Toronto, and so what is the next step? So when you talk about holistic approach, and I know you talk about you're going to do something great in when this is all clear, and I think that's a fantastic idea, because what's best to giving a gift to someone that you don't know, right? That's the best. Someone that you don't know, because you get the most, but when you do that, you get the most.
Yes, I'm going to get a lot. And the thing is, I've had to work on myself. I take lots of self, development courses and programs. It's a little bit like too much sometimes, but I know that I'm benefiting, and that I have to get myself out of the way and just get back into it and start and go and knock on that hospital. Like, I think that's going to be so awesome. I've sent my applications in already to volunteer, and I'll just start like that and see how it goes, because I would like to focus more on the healing. And again, in conjunction, it's not like it's just exclusively just doing that, but working with doctors, working with the community, like as an add-on, as an additional resource of healing, because sometimes it takes multiple things, right? Like you have to look at what you're eating and how you're fueling your body, and your mind, what's going on in your mind. I mean, there's a lot of negative thoughts so often that people are, that are holding them back. But I feel like if I can impart anything that's going to be beneficial, then why not? It can't hurt. So that's why I've got a plan to continue.
I'm a sole believer. I don't think I ever share online, but I'm a sole believer of, I don't know what to call. Maybe I should call it alternative healing, or amateur like me would talk about positive energy, right? Positive energy, because that in fact that's how we have our kid. That's how we have our kid. I think I shared with you before.
You do, yes.
And someone played with you in that time in my case, and you just. It is so, when you experience that, is beyond words, because this is so much faith. First of all, you have to have so much faith, and if you don't have faith, you basically wouldn't believe that, and you wouldn't be able to use the techniques that you described, probably, right?
Right, that's true.
And one thing that I would like to say is, like, when you say that you have a techniques, is it basically it's not what we have learned in the real world, in when you go to school and learn to be formal doctor and things like that. Like when you say that you say that techniques, right? So basically it's almost like a step-by-step process that you do this and do this, and that's how it works, and that's what I like most.
A system, yeah.
Yes,
like
it's a
you
system.
have a system.
And the good thing is a good system is you have someone to learn from, right? Oh, nice cup.
I know. I wonder where I got this.
So, but you have a system, and you follow someone who have done it many times, and it is of course every system need to be proven before it actually works, right? Just whether it's investing, whether that's alternatively distant healing, and it's all about the track record, like investment.
Yeah. Yes.
It's all about the track record that you help someone. In this case, it's all about the track record. So you should send out the track record to the hospital to make it easier for you to get in.
Yes. Good idea.
I'm pretty sure you have done it, but they maybe look at your resume and let's do this, because this is not totally woo-woo or anything like that. This is all proven. If the girl even speak for that would be even more real, because then if the girl speak for that, that's it is real life. I'm talking about.
Yes, you know what? That's probably a good. I have to go back to that, but I have done some other healings with other people without them knowing it. With some individuals, like a husband who had a lymphoma and was given 3 months to live. And so his wife, I was friends with her, and her daughter was friends with my daughter. So I asked her for some photos of Bruce, and unbeknownst to him, I was working the visualization techniques when I had a few minutes here or there. I was in the washroom or I had some quiet time. I would just quietly just do a few minutes of that, and it's hard to know. Like, he was getting care from his doctor as well, and then apparently it completely went away. So I mean, it could have been the doctor, it could have been a combination. I don't know, but at least I know that I put that energy through him, and I did everything that I could in terms of being there in the moment. And some other stories there since, but. I just plan on doing a lot more of this going forward. And I'm working with someone right now who is in the midst of COVID. So I'm trying to, I just learned, I don't even know the person. It's from maybe a mutual contact, Rosa Loken Singh. I don't know if you know her. Well, she's in Toronto. And she has a business here. It's a friend of hers that is suffering from COVID. So I'm working on her as we speak. Like right now.
Look at that positive energy that you're putting into the world. I'm a sole believer if you put in positive things, and it will come back. You don't know where, you don't know
Right.
The people who have done this many times, like you and I, know this because you know you're receiving things sometimes. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of strange, but now you and I also know because you done this many times. You know, it's just an action and reaction, like whatever like the call, right? Things
Right.
happen back, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like good feelings. It's always so. It's like yes, it's like this is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not that, there's no way. Sometimes you're scratching your head. What you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I do.
That's amazing. I'm so glad we get to talk. There's funny things. This is really short video, but talk about positive things. In life is like that. I'm just finishing up my 1 hour meeting. With my first ever webinar before this.
Yeah.
And I have something that is not too good to share because when I was doing, it's about 20 something people in the meeting, and suddenly my meeting got hacked. And yes, and then like, oh my goodness. And long story short is, I tried to skate through, and it was not any meeting. It's a launching meeting, so it's kind of critical. But long story short is, I just restarted and did it, and basically, and that's why I was a little bit running behind the time. Where I look at the clock, it's like, and I need to end this, kind of stuff, this meeting. But you know what? In this life, I believe you and I would totally agree. If you're flowing positive stuff flowing back.
Yes.
And you and I doing what we're doing. You're doing distance learning. I'm doing some other things. Know this. And that's why you and I keep doing it, by the way. Like,
yes.
I don't know about you, but that's why, selfishly speaking, I keep doing it because I do know this is a really give and take world. This is really, action and reaction world, as Newton said that. They all speaking the same thing. If you put in positive energy, the positive energy will get back to you. So I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing, Hilary. It's wonderful.
Thank you,
Go to the hospital.
But yeah, I want to endorse you because I really do. I think what you're doing is phenomenal. For what you're doing is you're building, like converting apartment buildings and bringing value to those communities, upping their the values of the properties, but also the tenants, giving them better quality of life, and not gouging them. Like they're like $50 more in rent once you're 75 or whatever it is for the renovation. Once you is so fair, and I am so pumped to be partnering with you on that multifamily project that you have in Ohio, in Dayton. And I just still want to continue. Wherever you're going, I'm going to follow. So that's why I want to promote you too. And just to say that, I've been working with you, for over a year, like 13, 14 months?
I believe. It's funny, this is the first time we see face to face, and we have been on the phone call probably 5 or 6 times, right? And sometimes long, sometimes we talk short. But 2 things I want to say. First of all, is obviously, you are such a faithful person, Hilary. You never met me in person. You never met, and you never see me on the phone. And all you did is see me one time writing checks on the video. And of course, it's a marketing video, right? And then we talk. And and that's why now I know, like, everything is kind of clicking back, now I know why you're doing what you're doing, because of the faith that you have on humanity, on just a lot of things in life. And number 2 things is, I'm really grateful to be able to partner with someone like you, without support, without support from faithful investors, from supportive investors, we wouldn't be able to do it ourselves. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward, of course, I'm looking forward to be future partnering. And so we're still partnering right now. And maybe on future stuff, and also on, on hopefully this video, we're going to record it, and we're already recording, and we can share it to different channels, you know, on my channels. I think you should share to your channels to other people that you feel comfortable.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Our investing, sharing our journey, and of course your alternative distance healing. I think that's so real and it's so beneficial for other people. You didn't have to push it.
Yes. Okay. Will do, Howard. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Hilary.
Thank you so much, Howard, for
Thank you
your
much.
time.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.